Welcome to the Swim Swam podcast. I'm your host, Coleman Hodges. Joining us today, we've got a very, very special guest. He's an Olympic champion. He's a world champion. He is the world record holder in the 50-meter freestyle and now former world record holder in the 100-meter freestyle. We're talking to Cesar Cielo. How's it going, man?
Hey, Coleman, I knew this presentation of my resume was coming. It has been crazy what happened this year with the 100 freestyle, all the times that we have been seeing lately. I mean, the game is just different now, man. That we have a 17-year-old going 46. So swimming is going too crazy for me, man.
I agree with you there. Too crazy for me. We obviously David Popovici, 17 years old, goes 46.86. He cracks your 13-year-old world record by 5/100ths. So just right off the bat, what was your initial reaction when you saw this? I don't know if you were keeping up, but he went 46 the night before, right? And it's like, oh, it's on watch. And then he managed to dip under the night after. So what was your experience just seeing that result?
Well, I'm gonna say that it wasn't the first time I was watching the race and knowing that the record was on the line and probably would have been broken at that time. So before in 2019, when I was watching Caeleb Dressel at the World Champs and during the Olympics in 2021, I mean, this record has been, on a lot of people's radar since I would say 2018, and I don't know. I think it made me more prepared for this moment than I thought because I'm gonna be honest, Coleman. I'm not gonna say that I was absolutely thrilled about breaking the word about Popovich breaking the record. I'm gonna be honest here and say, I knew it was gonna happen eventually, and it happened different than I thought. To be honest, I thought there somebody's gonna break it at the world record at the World Championships or maybe at the Olympic Games, and I honestly think if it wasn't for the COVID, I think Dressel would have had a better shot in 2020 because he was just on his A game in 2019. I think if it wasn't for the pandemic, I think he would have broken that record. I mean, in 20 at the Olympic Games. So, I mean, the COVID gave me a little more room to breathe, but I knew it was coming. I mean, I was talking to Brad the other day, and we were talking about when we broke the record in 2009. And now, like we were talking about all the names that could break the record, and it's almost like putting up an entire final of great swimmers. Like you have Caeleb Dressel, you have Kyle Chalmers, you have Kolesnikov, you have Popovich, you have so many great guys that could just go under the record. That I mean, it was gonna happen. I honestly didn't know it was gonna happen at the Europeans like 2 months after or a month after the World Championships, because I thought Popovich was going to be at the very best, at his very best at the World Champs. But I didn't get to see the race. I saw the results. I was doing an event for my institute here and doing a bunch of social projects here and all. And so I got to see the splits and I got to see the time. And I think the toughest part for me was that I was on deck with the kids and my face went like, oh, he broke it. I was like, oh man. But it's different than a race. That's where I'm trying to get to. It's not like it's not the feeling of losing a race. Like I said, I wasn't super thrilled about it, but I wasn't sad too. I mean, I was kind of prepared, and at the same time, it's not like I lost something. It doesn't feel like you lose something. I don't know. I've always had this relationship with records where it's part of the game, and it's more like what each generation or each year, what we can see, like how fast swimmers can go. I don't see the same as a battle for the gold medal. Like it's not like somebody, taking the gold medal. You have to see it, in second or third place. It's definitely not the same feeling. I mean, so I wasn't sad, and but for Popovich, I mean, it was funny because it brought the emotions that I had back in Rome, especially because I mean it's so poetic. I mean, it had to be in the same pool. It's crazy how it works, and I remember the memories I had that day and how great it is to break a world record. And I was very excited to see, a young, talented, I mean, different type of swimmer just breaking the record with so much ahead of him. I mean, he's just getting started. So it's crazy and awesome to see where we are at the 100 freestyle right now. And I was thinking about it because I wasn't sad or anything, but I know a lot of people are mad, like the names I said before. I don't think those guys are happy, man. I mean, they were trying so hard to get it, and then the 17-year-old comes along and take it. And I know it's gonna be for us as swimming fans, it's gonna be a great next 2 or 3 years of awesome fighting for the 100 freestyle.
No kidding. I mean, there's just so many big names out there right now, like you said. So I'm curious if you have any thoughts or opinions about why that world record did stand as long as it did. Because as you mentioned, there were so many people, they got so close, right? Like James Magnuson, Cam McAvoy,
Yes.
Caeleb Dressel, Kalej, all these guys were like knocking on the door, 47 low, 47-1, Kyle Chalmers, right? Why do you think it took that as long as it did for someone to get that extra tenth and to go dip under 46.91?
I think we have to talk about a lot of different factors, Coleman. I mean, one of the factors, yeah, and you brought up Magnuson, 47.10 back in 2012. McAvoy, 2014, he was 47.0. I mean, awesome swimmers. And I think, when it comes to big meets like the Olympic Games or World Championships, I don't think people realize how much we are concerned about touching first more than the world record. Of course, we're going to put the best performance we can, but I would say that at least this is just me, but like I would say like 99% of swimmers would say they would take the gold medal in a world championships or Olympic Games over the world record, because it means like for that year and for that specific moment you were the very best swimmer. I mean, a world record can be you can break that at an state championship, you can break that at Brazilian nationals, US nationals, it doesn't matter. And to become a world champion or Olympic champion, you have only one shot. And I felt like most of those great swimmers that we were talking about, they did the right thing, in my opinion, which is just leaving everything, their very best for the finals of the World Championships or the Olympic Games. But then the stakes are too high. It's people don't realize how hard it is to put up your very best performance at a final of a meet like this. It's too much. And I feel like Dressel had it before. And I was even talking to my former coach, to Scott Goodrich, and I was like, man, like with my experience from reaching that level and trying to sustain that result, I feel like for most consumers, and this is something that we don't talk much about it. There's a certain point where you're gonna reach that level, and it's gonna get harder and harder because you're gonna get more famous, you're gonna get sponsorships. So we talk about like sustaining success is too hard because you become the target. But there's also this commitment side to the sponsors, to even to politics. I mean, everything you do starts to involve politicians too. You go to a place, there's 1,000 messages involving charities and people asking you to do stuff, and you go do like you're gonna launch like a public pool in some city, and then there's all this event with politicians and all, and people don't realize how hard it is after you get to a certain level with your image. And once Caeleb tried into 2019, I was like, man, I honestly thought, I was like, man, 2020 is gonna be his moment, because after that, he's gonna have 5 or 6 gold medals from the Olympics. I was like, he's gonna be the next Michael Phelps. He's gonna have so much on his hands. Like, it's gonna be so crazy to train as much as he could and to do everything he needs to with his sponsors. That it's gonna get harder because he's the target, and also because he has a lot more to take care of. And We'll see how Popovici goes now with his star status that he has, because this is something new. This is something that I believe most of the big names in sports have to learn as things go. But I mean, we could say that this kind of things that you have to deal with in like being a big swimmer, being a big name swimmer, kind of play a role too. I mean, if you go back to Magnussen in Australia, I mean, he was such a big name there. I mean, he had even a nickname for the newspapers and all. And I almost feel like for your very best performance, you got to try it at a nationals, U.S. I mean, at trials for world champs, trials for the Olympics, because when it comes to those big meets, I mean, it's hard because you want to win, you want to give your best performance, but with that much on the table, I think this is why the record stood for so long, because of that, because the swimmers were just focusing on becoming the very best at their event when it mattered, and it's just hard, man. I mean, getting ready for a finals of the World Championships. I mean, just imagine like you're like in a call room, you see Chalmers nowadays, you see Dressel, you see all those guys. I mean, you're not worried about the world record. You got to beat those guys first because they. I mean, it's crazy. So I feel like the game has been tougher those last 10 years, and we can talk about different things too. But I feel like everybody has been there. It's just and everybody could go under the record. To be honest, I feel like Magnussen had the talent to do it. McAvoy did it. Uh, Everybody could, but when it comes to details, it comes to seizing the moment and doing it at the right time. And Popovich can now rest easy that he's done it, but I'm pretty sure he knows his adversaries are going to come hard next year to get their record back.
I don't doubt that. I'm excited to see him go up against some of those bests. So you that was really great insight, especially for where we're at with world swimming right now, and especially for one of these swimmers, Caeleb Dressel, right? We saw him pull out of the world championships right before that 100 free final. And you gave great context as to a reason that might be. We haven't spoken with Caeleb and we don't know the specifics, but did you have a reaction to seeing that news, especially knowing what you know about the pressure and the hype you get after winning a gold, or in Caeleb's case, after winning 5 gold medals at an Olympics?
Yeah, it's hard, man. I mean, for us, we get curious. We want to know what's happening, but I mean, have had this. I mean, I already had something like that in my career too, and it's much harder for him. I'm pretty sure, just going at that stage and being ready to go, and then all of a sudden you have something that takes you out. It doesn't matter if it is something mental or physical. It's something that takes you out of the game. And man, I know how hard it is mentally to just have put so much work on something, then all of a sudden it's not gonna happen. So whatever he has to go through to go back, I'm just cheering for him to find the energy and motivation to challenge the record now, because I mean, in my opinion, he already had it inside of him, and I feel like this could be a great fire that starts building even more, because he has a great front end 100 free speed, and I feel like he could use that to go deeper and to go lower into the 46.5 range, and it's tough, man. And when it comes to reaching that level, I mean, we're talking about not even 1 in a billion. We're talking about 1 in every 10 years, which is what Caeleb has done. It's everything he does, gets our attention, and we want to know. And he's going to be, the guy to watch, and that's the cost of being great. And I just wish him the very best. I wish him, best of luck to go back with motivation and ready to go, because I mean, this is just great for the sport. If he comes back, it's great for us. We want to see a great fighter. We want to see a great swimmer doing what he does best. And and we'll see how it goes, man. I mean, it's hard to talk about something that you don't know because we don't know what's happening. But as far as I can say is just wishing the very best because I'm looking forward to the fight with Chalmers and Popovich in the future.
I've got my fingers crossed for that one too. Yeah, I cannot wait to see that battle. So back to Popovich. Again, 17 years old. He's a string bean, right? He's lean. He's tall. You work with a lot of kids. You do a lot of clinics and a lot of stroke work. And obviously you were the very best of the best in the sprinting world for a long time. Is there something you see in David's stroke or how he approaches the races that stands out to you?
I think the scary part, to be honest, Coleman, this is the most scary part. I mean, he has so much room to improve. It's crazy, man. I mean, just from his starts alone. I mean, it feels like it's not. I'm not saying his start is bad by any means, but I'm saying he could get so much more power and be so much more explosive in the future. Just working maybe a little harder in the gym or just growing. I mean, the guy is 17, so he's going to be stronger. He's going to have a body structure that's going to be different in 2 or 3 years, and just by that alone, I mean, we can say he's going to gain some time from his start and from his walls because he's just going to be more powerful just by that. So watching him swim, it's crazy how much he floats. So, like his body posture is amazing. I mean, it's just like straight line. It feels like he has no resistance during the stroke. He's just on top of the surface, just doing his own thing, and it just seems, I mean, effortless. And I know how hard the greats work to make it look easy, and and he does it. I mean, you look at it, you're just like, I want to swim like him, like it's that easy. It's like watching, those great guys from the NBA. It's just like, yeah, I'm gonna play basketball in my backyard like them. Not, it's like, no, you're not. Like they work very hard to make it look that easy, and his kicking, I think, is a little bit underrated, man. We talk so much about his stroke, about the efficiency of his stroke, which is, I mean, off the charts, but I'm not gonna say his kicking is the most powerful, but man, the harmony between his stroke is amazing. That's what I'm gonna say. So the kicking is just there doing, exactly what it's supposed to do and supporting the body position, generating, propulsion and everything that he needs to do in both ways, down and up with his speed. You see, like his kicking is pretty interesting too. The way it makes his body just moves. So it's I mean, he's doing a clinic for us. I mean, every time we watch 100 free, it's a class for everybody to watch. And it should be interesting to see how his body develops in the next years to see how much more powerful he could get.
All right. So on that note, I have to ask you to play the prediction game because he mentioned 45, right? Do you think a 45-second 100 freestyle is possible?
Oh yeah, I think so. We have to see how things develop in the next years because that's what I was talking to with Brad the other day. I was like, we felt like we said we had a standard from 2009 until now, which was attacking the race more, and especially the Australians, they start to develop that strategy where you take the first 50 way easier, and you have to finish the race strong. So instead of going 22-0, 25-0 to go a 47, they prefer to go a 23-3 and a 23-7. And it's they try to double up the race. So it's we got to see how it goes in the future. For Popovich specifically, we have to see how much he gets. I mean, from his starts and from his wobbles in the future, because we're talking about something that could affect the entire pool. I mean, if you have a higher front end speed from the start, I mean, you're gonna take that speed all the way to the other side of the pool. So it's not just getting a better start, but something that involves and has an impact to the entire pool. And the same for the turn. If he gets a better turn and more powerful underwater, he's gonna carry that momentum all the way to the finish. So we're talking about something that is not just 15 or 20 100s faster in the 15-meter line, but something that can affect the entire pool. And I mean, we are going to start talking about 23 back half. I mean, it's just here. I mean, he's doing 24 zeros, 24 ones all the time, and 23-9 is gonna happen fast, quicker than we think. And I think Chalmers is gonna get on that train too. We're gonna see Chalmers come, finishing the race in a 23-8, 23-9 next year. And this is a new standard. I mean, like I was saying, I was talking to Brad, it was like the standard from 2009 till now was you got to attack the race. Because me, Fred, Bernard, we used to have this strategy of attacking the race fast in the first 50. And now it's very clear that there's a new strategy, a new standard, and it works. So you have to take care of the back half. And we're going to see maybe even, I mean, the other swimmers, they have to, take that into account and really, think about their races, because it might be even better. I mean, we're talking about Caeleb going 22-3 on his feet. What if he goes 22-6 and just saves a ton of energy? What's going to happen? We don't know. He's going to have to. I mean, everybody has to rethink their swimming now, because there's a new standard that works, and 45 is a little bit too much right now. It seems like, I don't know, Popovici is crazy. He might drop a 45 in 2 years, but it seems like the way to do it is too much right now. So you have to go out in 22 low. You have to finish the race in 23. It seems a little bit too much, but I would say that a 46.5 is within their reach. I think they have the talent, they have the skills, they have the tools to go a 46.5, and I think we're going to see it next year.
I love that explanation. I love that reasoning. I'm definitely with you that 46.5 seems very within reach. I was doing the math in my head today earlier about like 45, like, yeah, it's like you have to be out in 22, back in 23. It's like, is that possible? And like you said, the generations kind of build on themselves, and it's baby steps, but it seems like we could get there maybe a little sooner than we thought. So I'm going to go back to something else you said. Breaking a world record is almost easier, if you're doing it at a nationals or if you're doing it at a lower pressure meet. Do you feel like it takes a different mentality, or do you feel like your mentality shifting, or is there a certain mindset that works when you're like, okay, I'm going for this world record now? I don't have to worry about a world title or an Olympic gold, and I can go for this.
Well, when it comes to those, let's call it the smaller meets compared to the final world champs, and I had the opportunity to do it. That's my experience, Coleman. I mean, I broke the record in the 100 at the finals of the world championships, and I broke the 50-meter record in the Brazilian nationals. And I can tell you from my experience, I mean, the mindset and the thoughts that I had were completely different. I mean, before the 100 freestyle in Rome, man, like I was shaking. I was scared to death. I was thinking about Bernard. I was thinking about Freddie. I was thinking about so much that could go wrong, so much that could happen. And my focus was I got to put up my best race because I want to win, because I want to touch first. Of course, I wanted the world record. And of course, those swimmers are going to put up their very best performance. They want their best time every time. But there's so much involved at a stage like this that it gets a little bit out of hand. I mean, you're more nervous than you are for Popovici, especially at a Romanian nationals. I mean, when it comes to Romanian nationals, he can focus on his race. I mean, there's nobody that can do it. There's nobody that can challenge him at all. So that happened to me in Brazil too. When I went to try the 50-meter freestyle, I remember looking at the pool and being like, it's me against myself. I mean, the pool is ready for me. I don't have to worry about anybody else. It's just, how can I put up the very best performance? How can I deliver my very best? And you don't even look to your sides. You just dive in, you do your own thing, and at the World Championships, at least from my experience, you're more aware of many different things, and I feel like this is more comfortable to put up your very best performance when it comes to those, national competitions or even state championships, whatever you're participating in. You have more time to relax. You have more time to really think about the race. It's easier. Everything comes, easier for you, and that's why I think our best times when it comes to looking at world records and all those meets are best bet, because then it's not like the swimmers are not worried about the world record, but they're worried about a lot more. And we'll see how it goes. I mean, next year there's the trials, the Aussie trials for the world championships, the American trials for the world championships. And I feel like Chalmers and Dressel will want to respond as fast as they can. I mean, they're not going to wait for the world championships to come around. They want to respond that, and I felt like that was what we had back in 2008 or 2009, like looking at Eamon Sullivan breaking the world record at the Australian trials. Then Bernard broke at Europeans, and then it was like a game between them, just like sending messages. And I feel like this is the game between those three now. And I mean, we are lucky enough to be able to watch, and we'll see how it goes. But uh, honestly, like if I see a final with those three guys plus Kolesnikov plus some other guy that might be ready to swim as fast, I'm not looking at the world record between them. Like I couldn't care less if the scoreboard just said 1, 2, 3, because I'm interested in their fight. I'm interested in their race, to watch the technique, to see who is going to control their mind before the race. There's a lot more involved, and it's just watching that specific moment. So this is why I think it's easier to do it, the world record in those meets. But I mean, with those three together, I don't know, man. We might see a three-guy race that goes under 40. You might go. One of them might go 46.6 and be a bronze medalist. So this is how crazy things are right now.
That would be crazy to see. 46.6 for bronze.
Yeah.
Whew. So on the note of your world records, one's gone down now. How much longer do you think the other one has? When do you see this 50 going down, if you do?
Yeah, I'm gonna call Caeleb really quick here and just ask him. No, honestly, come on. I think he has the record already. To be honest, I think the schedule that he has been swimming is very hard, man. I mean, to do that double of the 53 and 100 fly at the semifinals, he has to swim the 100 fly before the 53. So I believe if it wasn't for his schedule, he would have broken already. I believe he already has inside of him. If he does focus now for some reason, he's like, okay, I just want to do the 53 and the relays. If he gets like I'm gonna come back easy next year, just the 53, I'm getting ready for the Olympics, so I'm just doing one event. He might go a 20.7. I think he has the capability to go even maybe under that, but he needs his legs to be fresh, man. I think that's the a main point for him, because he's swimming too much at the World Championships, especially for a sprinter. We get tired easily, and when it comes to the 53, is like his 11th time swimming. I don't know how many races he's done before with all the mixed relays and men's relays and all. So I think he has the record inside of him. If he focuses on the 50 alone, it's done deal. I'm gonna be sitting here and be like, okay, it's over. Like, I'm sending a letter congratulating him because before the race, because I know he's gonna break it. But I mean, he's so talented that he wants to win everything. So we'll see what he chooses to do next, and how he's gonna work on his schedule, and we'll see how fast he goes. But I believe it's he needs to, if he wants to do it, like the 53 and the 100 fly, double race day. it's too hard. It's too hard. He might do it. I think he has the capability of going 20.9 or 20.82 with those events. But if he focus only on the 50, we might see something even more special.
Well, I can't argue with that. Cesar, I appreciate you taking the time. I know you've got a jet, but it's great talking to you as always. Any parting thoughts before we sign off today?
No, well, I'm gonna say this comment. I hope everybody takes those comments as positive as they can, because I mean, comes from a person that loves swimming. I always said I'm never going to retire being a swimmer. I'm not going to be a high performance swimmer anymore, but I'm going to be a swimmer for life. And it has been so much fun to stay, around the pool, stay around swimming, even though I'm not competing anymore, and watching those amazing talents, just racing together in the perspective of going at 45 in 100 freestyle is just so exciting. So I wish those three Chalmers, Popovici, and Dressel, best of luck. We are excited to see those three go their very best and be at their very best too, so we can see this amazing gladiators race. And we'll see, man. We'll see what the future holds for for swimming. It's exciting to have such a such a generation that has great talent in our sprinters, because and when it comes to getting the media's attention and people's attention, the 50 and 100 free get a little more. And it's amazing to see a 17-year-old bringing the entire world to their feet and this race next year. So thank you again for the interview, and we'll talk some more, maybe when they go 45.9.
Dude, absolutely. We will definitely talk on that day. You've been listening to the Swim Swam podcast. Stay tuned for new episodes every week. You can take Swim Swam podcast on the go by subscribing on your favorite podcast platform. Look for links in the description below, and be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more videos as well.